Jump it. Oh, yes!
He gets away with it. Whisper trying to try it. And Mike White is beginning to panic.
Oh, no! He's stripped it off course! Oh, what has he done? Oh, I don't believe it! Oh, I don't believe it! No! He's coming back! He's coming back! Oh! Welcome to day 4 of the Cheltenham Festival. It's all about the Gold Cup. It's a race that breaks hearts and makes champions. You've got to jump, you've got to have good speed, and you've got to have a great amount of stamina, because to get up that famous Cheltenham hill, you've got to have courage. A lot of horses down the years have tried and failed valiantly, and a lot of horses have succeeded. It really is the pinnacle of National Hunt racing, and I'm very much looking forward to it. God knows what the ground's going to be like at this stage. It's apparently soft to heavy. Hopefully we don't get a shitload more rain, because look, we want to see the best horses winning, don't we? We don't want to see a bog. We don't want to see these slow coaches just outstaying everyone. I remember back when I was a cross-country runner, when the ground was genuinely good, they couldn't keep up with me. I'd win, races quite easily. But when it was stamina-laden, my little old legs, I just couldn't go the gallop, the run in that soft going. They'd outstay me. So I know what it feels like to be outstayed. A big win for the Arsenal today. 3-0 for the Gooners. We're back in business. It's been a hard season being an Arsenal fan. Right, let's crack on with this Cheltenham preview. Day 4. At the moment, your current favourite is Might Bite. A top price 100 to 30. Although you can get 4.8 on the exchange. Native River for Colin Tizzard's an 11 to 2 shot. Obviously, Sizing John, the champion, he is out. Late news coming in there. He won't be trying to retain his crown. But Jesse still has our Duke, a top price 7 to 1. Cullotta Vic for Willie Mullins, 10 to 1. So unlucky to fall in the Irish Gold Cup at the Dublin Racing Festival. He would have absolutely pissed up there. But he's here to fight another day. Road to Respect for Noel Mead. He's a 10 to 1 shot. Definitely red for Brian Ellison's 16s. Minella for John Joe 20s. Ed Wolf, who capitalised on Cullotta Vic's fall there at the last. He's a 25 to 1 shot. And then we've got Annabelle Fly and Jacadam at 33 to 1. Jacadam seems to have been around forever, hasn't he? I'm not going to read out the rest because, quite frankly, they've got no chance in my opinion. Talking about the role of honour. The role of honour in the Gold Cup. We've had some truly amazing horses. Arkle won it from 64 to 66. He went off at 7 to 4, 100 to 30 on, and 10 to 1 on. 10 to 1 on to win a Gold Cup. Holy fuck. Jesus. Must have been an absolute certainty. Can't believe those odds in a Gold Cup. Fast forwarding from there, we got the legend Desert Orchid in 1989. The Fellow for Francis Duman, a legendary trainer. Seymour Business back with Mick Fitz and Paul Nicholls. And then 202 to 204, we had Best Mate for Jim Cullerton and Henrietta Knight. Jim Lewis, what a horse he was. And he was treated like, treated with kid gloves. But, he won 3 Gold Cups. And then in 205, we had Kicking King, who done a King George double for Barry Geraghty and Tom Taff. Shout out to my boy Mouse Morris, War of Attrition 206. And then we had the legendary battles of Cato and Denman Star. Cato, a 2-time Gold Cup winner. Iconic days for racing they were. And seeing people like Harry Finlay and just the energy and the atmosphere in National Hunt at that time was really superb. And most recently, obviously, Sizing John, 2017, Robbie Power and Jessica Harrington. He won't be defending his crown. He's met with a setback and a bit disappointing. But he will live to fight another day. Right, let's talk about the Gold Cup. And before we do that, this was me in London today. Probably, I should have been locked up for this one, shouldn't I, boys? Bite, they're about to jump the last. Our Duke pings the last here at Cheltenham. Mike Bite's giving him chase, but he's beginning to hang under pressure. Mike Bite, he wobbles to the left, he wobbles to the right, but he comes back at our Duke and wins the Cheltenham Gold Cup. So let's kick off with Mike Bite. I recently met Mike Bite's owner at Kempton, and when I walked into the enclosure, he said to me, I heard you're Mike Bite's biggest fan. And I actually didn't know who he was, and I apologised, and he said, I'm Mike Bite's owner. So that was quite a funny story. He knew all about the blogger, the videos, and it was quite an iconic moment, I can tell you. Talking about Mike Bite, hopefully you saw that video I posted on Twitter on the 15th of April 2015. That's when Mike Bite ran in the race. But he ran at Cheltenham in a 2.5 mile novice hurdle, and he'd done exactly the same thing he'd done in the RSA last year. He tried to duck out, he idled, he went 2.5 lengths down to Surian, got back up to win. Something about Cheltenham, this horse wants to duck out. However, Nicky Henderson is going to try and stop that, whether it's to keep a horse on his outside or, you know, not to hit the front too soon. It's going to be interesting because he's done this twice at Cheltenham now, and it's got to be a major worry for all punters. But let's talk about Mike Bite's ability, because that is unquestionable. He was in the process of winning the Cato Star Novices Chase by an absolute mile when he clouted the last, went through it and fell. Most horses wouldn't have come back from that, but Mike Bite bounced straight back at Doncaster, went on to win the RSA. Obviously, you know, we know what happened that day. He ran like a spaghetti junction, totally veered off the track, lost 15 lengths, got back up to beat Whisper, who's been second in a Ladbroke off a 161. You know, he would have been one of the most impressive winners at the Cheltenham Festival if it weren't for that kind of quirky attitude that he's got. And you can only say this horse possesses a raw amount of ability. It's just a question of whether Nicky can keep his head on the job. This year he's gone to Sandown. Apparently he was only 65% fit for his comeback. He hammered Frodon. Frodon's absolutely no mug whatsoever. Went in the King George, had that decent battle down the back straight with Bristol de Mai. They went toe to toe, and ultimately Mike Bite came out the winner. Now he only beat Double Shuffle by a length. T for 2 was back in third and Thistlecrack back in fourth. Whisper was fifth and Bristol was tailed off that day. But I spoke to Nico de Bonville and you can hear what he had to say about Mike Bite's run here. Here at Royal Ascot, Patrick, your father has a runner here today in Thomas Hobson. He's currently 5-1 favourite. Can you talk us through his chances?
Yeah, well look, his form with John Gosling was very good. He won 4 of his last 5. He was a more of a mile and a half horse to flat, but he's won over 2.5 on heavy ground over jumps, so we're hoping that he'll stay 2-3 today. He should like the ground,
yep.
And Ryan Moore on board. So
you've got the main man.
He ticks all the boxes.
You do indeed. I mean, you're cleaning up over the jumps. It's a bit unfair coming over here to England and winning top flat prizes as well, isn't it?
No. So look, it's been very lucky for us. You know, Peak Sue and Conda Warrior have obviously won, and it's a fantastic meeting. It's brilliant to go over, and it's a great occasion. So we're just delighted to be here. Brilliant. And all the stars back home. What are they all up to now? Are they out in a paddock enjoying a bit of grass? Out in the field, Annie Power was fully retired now, and she's in fold at Camelot, so it looks fantastic. Faheen is out, Duvan is recovering, he's gone out to the paddock, he had to stand in for a little bit after Cheltenham. So they'll come back in sometime late July, early August. And we'll...
Talking about the machine that is Faheen, I remember the glory days of Istabrack when I was a young boy. Faheen looks so special. Are you going to be able to get him back to his best?
It's going to be hard. You know, he's 18 months out, he's older now, but he has so much ability. But it's hard to think we'll get him back as good as he was. But you know, with an exceptional horse like that, you don't know. And we kept him in a little bit longer than the other horses, and we got him back sound, got him back fit, and he went out a lot later than the others, so he wouldn't get too fat and get him back in early probably and give it another go. And Patrick, a lot of people say if Faheen met Istabrack, who would win? Who would your money be on at their prime? Cheltenham, 2 miles. Well, you'd have to put Hurricane Fly in there as well. It's hard to say.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time, Patrick. No problem. George, obviously I backed him at 4-1 anti-post. I had a real good punt on him, and I didn't expect him to only win by a length in what appeared to be quite flat out. Nico said he had a lot left in reserve, and you know, they were never worried at any stage. He could have went round again. So you've got to take Nico's word on that. I think probably that bit of a duel with Bristol de Mai down the back straight might have tired him out a bit. But he comes into this race very, very fresh. He's got course and distance form. Well, not distance form. He's got the extra 2 furlongs, but I don't see that being a problem. You know, if you think about how he chucked away 15 lengths to a thorough stayer like Whisper and still managed to make a comeback, you know, that says that Mike Bite's got speed, class, jumps well. He's had an 80-day break. He's rated 169. He's the top-rated horse in the race. I just hope the ground dries out, because if it does dry out, I'm going to have a mighty bet on this horse. If it doesn't dry out and it continues to rain, well, we're just going to have to play it by ear and see what happens. But Mike Bite is a deserved favourite. He's an RSA winner. He's a King George winner. Will he be a Gold Cup winner? Let me know your comments down below. If it stops bloody raining, would you back Mike Bite to win the King George? Native River is your second favourite for the Cheltenham Gold Cup, available at 11-2 for Colin Tizard. He made a decent comeback at Newbury where he beat a non-stayer and a horse who wasn't fit. The question you have to ask yourself is, do you think he's going to be any better than his third placing last year? He ran in the 4 miler 2 years ago, finished second to Minella Rocco. Quite funnily enough, Minella Rocco nabbed him on the line in the Gold Cup last year behind Sizing John. What would the odds have been for the 2 4 milers to finish second and third in the next year's Gold Cup? Quite funny. Obviously, Sizing John isn't around. Now, he had an iconic year last year, did Native River. He won the Hennessy, he won the Coral Grand National, he won the Denman Chase, just like he did warming up at Newbury a few weeks ago. But again, he beat nothing, and for me, I think that's as good as Native River is. If there isn't one or two who's better than Native River, I'd be quite disappointed. I just genuinely don't think he's a true top-class Grade 1 animal compared to the likes of Might Bite, or even potentially, you know, Road to Respect when you've got decent ground. So it's going to be interesting. He could prove me wrong, but I'm not Native River's biggest fan at this elite level. Again, he proved nothing on his comeback, beating a non-stayer, beating a horse who needed the run really, really badly. And I think he's pretty short based on all the evidence we've seen, a top priced 11-2. That is Native River. Let me know what you think about Colin Tizard's horse. You know, he's got Richard Johnson doing the steering. He's an 8-year-old. Is he still improving? If he is improving, then he's got every right to be pushing for the Gold Cup. But I think we've seen the best of Native River. Third favourite for the Cheltenham Gold Cup is our Duke, trained by Jessica Harrington. Obviously, Sizing John is a non-runner, but Jessie has a good super sub in our Duke. And basically, this horse will be doing a bloody rain dance. The more rain that falls for our Duke, the better, because he stays longer than the mother-in-law. Third favourite for the Cheltenham Gold Cup is our Duke, trained by Jessica Harrington. Pretty much the super sub after the defending champion, Sizing John, was taken out due to injury. Now, what this horse basically wants is a true test of stamina, and with the rain that's falling, and if it continues to rain, this horse stays longer than the mother-in-law, he's going to go off a lot shorter than what he is now. He's got a bit of class about him. He's a point-to-point winner. He was second in a bumper behind Deaf Duty, only beaten half a length. Went on to win a Leopardstown maiden hurdle, won a novice chase, beat Coney Island over 3 miles. I was at Leopardstown that day. You had Disco back in third. It was a good race, that. And then he came back and won the Irish Grand National off a 153 by 14 lengths over 3 mile 5 on yielding ground. That was some performance that day, and he signalled that he could be a truly top-class horse. Obviously, on his comeback at Down Royal this year, things didn't work out. He was very disappointing, and he scoped abnormally after the race. Came back behind Ed Wolf. I interviewed Robbie Power, and you can hear what Robbie Power had to say about our Duke right here. Right, and what about our Duke today? I know he had his problems, and he went to see the vet, and they seemed to iron them out.
I was absolutely delighted with him. I mean, realistically, that was his first run of the year. Down Royal was another event for him, and he's going to improve a hell of a lot from that. And if he hadn't made the mistake in the second last, he would have been back there still. You know, he's just a very good horse, and he's going to improve an awful lot for that. And looking forward to Cheltenham, Robbie. You know, we're getting closer and closer now. What will be the one ride you're really looking forward to? Well, obviously, the horses in the Gold Cup. I don't know what's going to happen with Sizing John and our Duke. Yep. And Super Sunday as well. You know, they're good rides to have, two good rides and them 2 good races. They're great to have. Absolutely. Best of luck, Robbie Power. Cheers. Thanks a million. Take care. So Robbie, as you can tell, he was really pleased with that run. He wasn't disappointed at all. And to be honest, Robbie was bang on, because our Duke turned up at Gorham Park on the 17th of February in the Red Mills Chase, over 2.5 on heavy ground. Presenting Percy went off at evens. He was a big gamble. Our Duke drifted out from 6-4 to 5-2. You know, he's rated 166. He was giving £7 away, and he didn't look like winning until jumping the last. He basically powered past Presenting Percy, and it showed that our Duke is back to his best, in my opinion, that he has a decent amount of speed, he jumps extremely well, and he's coming into this race in really good form. And the more of a test, the more you're going to see our Duke shining. If it dries out, our Duke wouldn't be for me. But if it continues to rain, if the ground stays the way it is, you think he's a huge contender for the place honours. Let me know what your opinions are on our Duke. He's an interesting horse. He's only an 8-year-old and he's rated 166. Could be a Gold Cup winner. Road to Respect is trained by legendary Irish trainer Noel Meade. He's a real high quality 7-year-old, and he seems ultra progressive. The one thing he wouldn't want is for this race to turn into a bog, because he's a horse with a lot of natural speed. He's had 3 runs this year.
He won at Punchestown, was second to Outlander at Down Royal in the champion chase. Just appeared to get outstayed that day in the soft ground, but came back at Leopardstown to win the Christmas Trace, beating Balco de Floz and Outlander in yielding ground. I think, you know, we pretty much know already, road to respect, the better the ground, the better his chances, because over 3¼ miles, they're truly going to test his stamina. And the way the rain is at the moment, you'd have to be slightly worried. He won at the Cheltenham Festival last year, winning the Brown Advisory Handicap Chase, powered clear that day, won off 145. I didn't think it was a fluke, but I sure as hell didn't expect him to go to Ferryhouse and beat York Hill. Obviously, York Hill, you know, he tried to duck out that day, ran a strange old race and has since become a bit of a maniac. But fair play to Road to Respect, stepped out a handicap company and won a Grade 1. I think you can sum this horse up in a nutshell. If it doesn't rain and the ground dries out, he has a chance. If it rains, you can scrub him off your list. Let me know what you think about Road to Respect. Willie Mullins is sending over a serious army of contenders for this year's Cheltenham Festival. His Gold Cup hopeful is 9-year-old Cullotta Vic, who took a horrible fall at Leopardstown last time out in the Irish Gold Cup. Willie tuned him up for that race in spectacular fashion by winning a Punchestown handicap hurdle. You don't see many horses going from a handicap hurdle to winning a Grade 1, but that's exactly what Willie did, and he definitely would have won the Irish Gold Cup. It was so unfortunate. It was a nasty fall, and when I interviewed Willie, he said to me the downside of the week was this happening, and you can hear Willie's thoughts and views on that right now. I'm joined by the King of Irish Racing, Willie Mullins. Willie, it's been a tremendous 2 days for you here at this new Leopardstown feature. You've had 6 winners. What would be Willie Mullins' highlight of those 6?
God, I can't remember. I tell you what, my low light was Cullotta Vic, I think, just falling in the last. That was very disappointing, yeah.
Right, and Min was back to his electric best, but at the same time, York Hill, the Enigma, slightly disappointed. The pros and cons?
I don't know what we're going to do with York Hill. We'll go home and have a think about it, but Min was very good.
He was super. Yeah. And like, I know everyone bugs you about Forheen the whole time. He got beat there. What would your views be going forward to the champion hurdle now?
Well, if he just the little spark returns, he'll be fine. I think he's not far off. He just needs a bit of spark, that's all.
And finally, Willie, a horse that I love is Footpad. He jumps the fun and so much tremendous natural speed.
He's probably the best one to take out of the weekend, I think. He just does everything so easily. He's the one I think we're all looking forward to going over to Cheltenham.
And finally, Willie, last question. Give us a sneaky little dark horse we don't know about. Give us a Willie special.
Oh, well, maybe just... clue. I mean,
too true.
What have we got? I mean, you know about the demographic.
You went now for Willie.
He won in Punchestown.
Well done this weekend, Willie. Top man. You could obviously see the disappointment in Willie's face there. He was ticked off, he was annoyed, and I think he was more than anything just disappointed, you know, after a 2-year comeback from injury to get the horse right, to tee him up over hurdles and then to throw away a Grade 1, the Irish Gold Cup. It was devastating for all parties. Now, this is a high-class horse, you know, he's a Cheltenham Festival winner. He won the Martin Pipe Conditional Jockeys Handicap Hurdle over 2.5. Shows he has speed. He went on to beat Thistlecrack in a Grade 1, straight out of handicap company, just like Road to Respect. Only had 3 runs over fences. And if we cast our eye back to the 17th of January 2016, he came to a complete standstill when he made a horrific mistake, slipped on landing. Ruby stayed on. He lost about 25 lengths and got back up to beat Blair Perrone. That was the end of Cullotta Vic for 2 years. He'd done himself a horrible injury. Fast forwards, you know, Willie's got the horse back. He's done a tremendous performance of getting him back to his best and beyond. And who's to say Cullotta Vic won't continue to improve? He obviously likes Cheltenham. He likes soft ground. He appears to stay extremely well. If that fall hasn't dented his confidence, Cullotta Vic could be a very decent 10-1 shot each way. We will soon find out. There's a lot of questions that need answering in this year's Gold Cup, and we're only a few days away from finding out. Let me know your views on Cullotta Vic. Great to see Brian Ellison doing so well this year. You know, obviously Definitely Red. It's great to see Definitely Red shining for Brian Ellison this year. He's had a tremendous year. He's a 16-1 shot for the Cheltenham Gold Cup, and I'm going to sum this horse's chances up in a nutshell. If it's soft and heavy ground, he's got a fair chance at running a place. If it's anything on the better side, you know, the good to soft, I don't think he has the speed, and I don't think he has the class to lie up with the top horses in this race. But Brian's done a great job with him this year. Obviously, you know, he went to Aintree, beat Cloudy Dream again, you know, a non-stayer. And then he went to Cheltenham, won the Cotswolds when Bristol de Mai flopped, not for the first time this year, beating American by 8 lengths. You know, that for me isn't true Grade 1 form. There's nothing that special about it. And I just think he lacks the class of the top 3 or 4 in the betting. But if it turns out to be a bog, this horse has a decent each way chance. He could still be improving. You know, you wouldn't write off his claims of running a place, but for me, for win purposes, definitely Red is not going to be the Gold Cup winner, and if it begins to dry out, I don't see him being in the first 3, but I could be eating my words later this week. Handicap revelations of the year has been this Total Recall, transferred from Sandra Hughes to Willie Mullins' yard, and it's been quite unbelievable. Won a handicap beating Alfred Azobo off a 129. Is now officially rated 156. Now, if we look at the form of the Ladbroke, you know, Whisper gave him a stone. We know Might Bite is a far superior horse to Whisper. How can Total Recall get anywhere near Might Bite or the top horses in this race? He's had a good year. He pulled like a tank and won at Leopardstown last time over hurdles, but that was off a 125. It's a long way shot of Gold Cup form, and he isn't for me. He stays well, obviously winning over 3 mile 2 at Newbury, and if he continues to improve, who knows, he could outrun his odds and finish in the top 4 or 5. But for the top 3 spots, Total Recall for me is a no-go. Rocco for John Joe O'Neill. He was second in the race last year when he nabbed Native River on the line. This year, he hasn't really been in the best of form. You know, we saw him in October. He was 4th at Punchestown behind Road to Respect. Pulled up at Cheltenham next time. Was again behind Road to Respect. And he ran in the Irish Gold Cup last time and he fell. He fell when he was beat already. He doesn't appear to be in the same form this year. I heard John Joe O'Neill kind of emphasising that, and he'd like the ground not to be too soft. But he did say Minella doesn't seem to be the same horse. Minella Rocco, your Gold Cup second from last year, is trained by John Joe O'Neill. He's a general 8. Minella Rocco is a 20 to 1 shot for the Gold Cup, trained by John Joe O'Neill. He was second in the race last year. This year, though, he hasn't really set the world alight. He's been fairly disappointing. 4th to Road to Respect, pulled up at Cheltenham, 4th to Road to Respect at Leopardstown again, and then he fell at Leopardstown in the race that Ed Wolf won, where, obviously, Cullotta Vic fell at the last when he had the race at his mercy. You know, Minella Rocco fell that day, but he was beat when he fell, and he's not done a lot this year. I heard John Joe say that he's working all right, he's still in decent form, but he's just not been in the same form as last year. He doesn't want too much rain, he wants the ground to dry out. Minella Rocco obviously likes Cheltenham, he won the 4 miler. If he comes back to his best, he's obviously got a live chance, but at this stage, Minella Rocco, he's not for me. Doesn't seem to be in that good a form.
Are you alright, Caroline? Are you alright, Caroline? Go round again, Pat. Go round again.
The horse I'm going to talk about is Cheltenham, trained by Willie Mullins. He's a 25 to 1 shot. He seems to have been around forever, and the truth is, he has. He's run in 3 Gold Cups, and he's run 3 good races. If we cast our minds back to the year Coneygree won it, he was second to Coneygree, had Road to Riches behind that year. It was a cracking run as a 6-year-old. You thought he could go on to potentially be a champion. But things have never really worked out for Cheltenham. The next year, he was second to Don Cossack. Again, a big run. Don Poli was beaten a long way back in 3rd that day. And you thought the following year might finally be his year. He took on Sizing John, Native River, Minella Rocco, and he was only 4th. I think the simple thing about this horse is we've seen how good he is, and he isn't going to be any better than what we've seen. He's vulnerable, and I don't think he's going to win any Gold Cup. I think if he gets in the top 3, he's probably done fairly well. This year, second to Sizing John, pulled up at Leopardstown, and then he was 3rd to Ed Wolf. You know, Patrick Mullins, I saw in an interview, he said, look, the horse is working well. He seems to be coming back to his best. But I think we know where we are with Cheltenham. He's a good horse. He's a good stayer. But he's not going to win the Gold Cup, is he? Gritty, and the Old Cup ultimately boils down to what the ground's going to do. I'm recording this video on Sunday night. Apparently 10 millimetres of rain is still going to fall at Cheltenham, and it could be officially heavy ground come Friday. Heavy ground that's been raced on. It's going to be a real bog, a real test of stamina. And let's face it, that isn't what Might Bite wants. You know, he's a decent, good ground horse who can go a hell of a gallop. He can quicken and he can annihilate horses 4 furlongs out. I couldn't recommend backing Might Bite at this stage. We're going to have to take this easy, guys and girls. We're going to have to play it by ear. You know, it's not a typical year for the ground at Cheltenham. We don't normally get it this soft. This is a softest apparently it's going to be for the last 20. So we're just going to have to wait until the day. I'm not going to say who's going to win the Gold Cup. I am going to say that if it does dry out, I obviously fancy Might Bite like mad. One horse who I don't think is so ground dependent is Cullotta Vic, and I think at 10-1 there's still a bit of juice in his price. You know, this is a horse who beat Thistlecrack. He's a Cheltenham Festival winner. He's come back after a 2-year layoff over hurdles and won, and then gone into the Irish Gold Cup. He was absolutely cruising that day. He was going to beat some decent horses like Outlander, Jacadam, Duke. For me, Cullotta Vic should be shorter in the betting, and with Ruby Walsh back on board, that can only be a good thing. Let's wait and see. Sorry to sit on the fence. I don't normally sit on the fence. You know, I normally put my bollocks straight on a plate and lay it out there on the line. I'm not afraid to have an opinion. As a punter, you've got to be opinionated. You've got to put your bollocks out there, and you've got to have strong views. But look, the truth is, with all this rain around, it's kind of dampening my confidence in having any bets whatsoever. So let's wait till the day. Let's see how Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday goes. Let's try and do a bit of analysis on the ground, the times, and see where we're at. And then hopefully we can all come to some sort of conclusion and find the Gold Cup winner. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this one. Who do you think is going to win the Gold Cup? We are now only 2 days away from the Cheltenham Festival. 2 more sleeps, Sunday night and Monday night. And I will see you all at the Mecca. It's going to be a brilliant, brilliant week. I can't wait. You know, if Footpad wins the Arc, well, I'm going to be off to a flyer. And then all the muggy doubles and trebles with Bouvedere and Apples Jade on the first day. And then obviously the second day is all about Altior and Sam Crow. These doubles, trebles, 4-timers, 5-timers are running up all over the country. And will Get a Bird win the opener, or will Kalashnikov beat him? Again, the ground is going to be crucial there. It's an exciting Cheltenham Festival, and you know, it all looks so easy on paper. Then we see the results, we're left scratching our head, and then we all say, oh yeah, that was the one that was going to win, wasn't it? It's an intriguing thing being a punter. It's a mysterious conundrum of unsolved answers until the day, and then we all kind of scratch our heads going, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. But that's the great game, and that's why we all love it, and everyone having different opinions and views is what it's all about. I will see you all at Cheltenham, and if I see you there, we'll probably share a selfie and toast a pint of Guinness. Over and out from the blogger.
Cheltenham is here again. Cheltenham, Cheltenham, Cheltenham is here again. 4 days of racing at the festival. The first day is the champion hurdle. So put your bet on and turn the telly on. Cheltenham, Cheltenham, Cheltenham is here again. Cheltenham, Cheltenham, Cheltenham is here again. Now it's day 2 of the festival. The Queen Mother chase. Go on the bike! Oh my God, he's getting tired. Oh my God, he's getting tired. Big jump, big jump, big jump. Oh Jesus, come on! Oh no, he's tired! Oh no! Come on! Come on, boy! Come on, boy! Come on, mate, boy! Hold on! Hold on! Hold on! Oh yes! What a performance! What a horse! Get in! Get in! Go on! Go on!